Anything good is God's proof to you, sent beforehand to indicate that it's yours already.
The masses, that's black, white, Hispanic, Indian, Asian. There are people who want to oppress the masses for their own personal gain. And anything that doesn't fit their agenda, they're gonna make sure, as they have historically controlled media, they're gonna make sure these things do not get out. These people do not get out. They're going to spin these people to be something negative, some type of threat, some type of reason why you shouldn't listen to them. But thank God we have independent media now.
Hello, Black America. Hello, Black America.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Hello, Black America. I am your brother Deshone, and I want to welcome you to a very, very special episode. We have an incredible guest joining us, Rabbi Howshua Amariel. For those of you unfamiliar with him, he's a historian, he's a translator, he's a researcher, he's an author, he's a rabbi, he's an imam, he's an elder, he's a chief, he's a human rights activist and a reparations activist. He's a TV host, and he's an undefeated chess champion. Undefeated. His list of accomplishments is vast, but today, he's here to bring us deep into the knowledge of reparations and DNA and how those two things connect. In this episode, we're going to cover the history of the reparations movement, including Howshua's groundbreaking presentations, and why this topic is more relevant now than ever. We'll also dive into the fascinating connection that Africa is going to play to this entire thing. Now, you know what I always say, listen where you listen, watch where you watch. Wherever you are, type in Hello Black America, you are going to see us. I always say, you don't have to find us, we are coming to you. And I couldn't do this without my guys in the building. We got super producer Curtis Cheatham, keeping everything organized. We got filmmaker extraordinaire, visual scientist, and all-around genius, Meraki, my brother Kawan in the building. How y'all feel, fellas? Hey, amen. Everybody's excited. We're gonna also we'll wrap the show up towards the end with some questions. So make sure you stay locked in for the next hour, take notes, and don't forget to visit rep2025.com to join this movement. Stay with us. This is not a conversation you want to miss. Okay. Listen, I could not be more excited. We are continuing to make progress and continuing to roll out this vision of building the world we want to live in. Proactivity, not waiting on anyone. We have the strength, we have the power, we have the opportunity, and we have God on our side. Everyone who has God on their side, it's going to show. It's going to show. You don't even have to say it. All you have to do is believe in what he put in you and do what's in you to do. Denzel said, whatever you imagine good is, and this is Denzel Washington. Do we even have to say the last name? He's on when I say Denzel, there should be no one who says Denzel. Could you be more specific? There's a lot of Denzels. Right. I knew a Denzel. Is he talking about him? No, the living legend, Denzel Washington, said that whatever you imagine good is God's proof beforehand that it's already yours. I'm going to say that again. Whatever you imagine good for yourself, the world, your contribution, that's God's proof to you beforehand that it's already yours. Believe it. And so as we continue to talk about what we want to build and bring to the world, we want to bring voices to you. There are people who, for the last 20, 50, 80 years, mass media has tried to keep them under a very tight umbrella, a very tight, don't let them get out there. Like, there is, and we know why. Unfortunately, we know that there are people who just didn't want the progressive movements of all mankind to actually take off, because when you don't have people progressing, you can continue to oppress them. And there are people in the world that want to oppress the masses. That's, black, white, Hispanic, Indian, Asian. There are people who want to oppress the masses for their own personal gain. And anything that doesn't fit their agenda, they're going to make sure, as they, have historically controlled media, they're going to make sure these things do not get out. These people do not get out. And they're going to spin these people to be something negative, some type of threat, some type of reason why you shouldn't listen to them. But thank God we have independent media now. And independent media rivals mass media. It's just as powerful. Independent media can be just as big, just as thought-provoking, garner just as many views, just as many eyeballs. And that's why it's very, very important in this day and age, if you are in media, that you take your mission seriously. If you've been blessed with 100,000 people who listen to you, 10,000 people, 20, 100,000, a million people, take it seriously and ask yourself every year, at least every year, is what I'm bringing to my audience moving their life forward? Challenge yourself with accountability, because everyone is going to make money. But everyone's not accountable with their money. Everyone is not accountable with the leadership roles that they've been blessed with. If you've been blessed with 100,000, you could say, man, I ain't want to be no leader. It don't matter. You are. You're leading people, whether you take on that title or not. It's already been given to you. So I pray that you take it seriously and you hold yourself accountable to making sure that the things you do don't make sure you don't look back years from now and regret how you handled that. There's a saying by Jim Rohn. He said, there's two types of pain in the world: the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. He said, discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. Discipline is hard to do. It's hard to do. But it's not as hard as the pain of regret of looking back and not doing it. So take your position seriously. Again, this is a leadership show. So when I talk to leaders, I'm talking as a person who is who assumes leaders are not sensitive. We need each other. We need some iron sharpens iron, the scripture says. So if you ever see me doing something and you're like, Deshone, let me give you a little something I'm seeing. Because we have blind spots. That's why I got these two brothers with me. That's why it says in a 3-cord strand is not easily broken. When you have people with you, it says in a multitude of counselors plans succeed. The reason why you may not be getting everything you want, or may not be getting all or delivering all you want, is because, who's the people around you? My brothers know I'm not a yes. I don't want yes men around me. But when we come and we sharpen each other up, then we can actually, and then we need that. We need that. So trust me when I tell you, y'all not gonna see me talking soft to leaders. Like, y'all just not gonna get that from me. God bless you. If somebody else give it to you, I'm sure it's gonna be some people that want to coddle us and, come on now, you're doing a great job. I know it's not easy, and just lick it. We need that. We gonna have those people too, nurturers. They're out here. But we need some tough talk sometimes, and we need calls to accountability. So now, who is this gentleman that we're about to bring to you? He's the first voice that we get to bring to you. He's someone who I met. I met him not even a year ago, and it seems like I've known him for years, and I'm going to tell you why. The minute I met him, I said to myself, I'm going to ask every single question that comes to mind concerning the subjects that he's been in for the last 40 years of his life, 20 years of his life, all his life. And we had so many things in common, but what I really, really saw is that more people need to hear from him. Now, he's known. Anytime you can type someone's name into Google, and before you get to the third letter, their entire name pops up, that means they're known. That means they're known. Some people, you got to type the whole name and last name, and it's still, 3 letters, you're going to find him. So he's known. And what his vision is, I asked him a question when the first time I talked to him. And I always like to ask people, what is your goal? What is your mission? And if one day we reach out to you, connect with you, if you one day say, I really would like to talk to the Hello Black America audience, talk to the people who are listening, because our audience is global. Our audience is the diaspora. Our audience is Black America. Our audience is Africa, all the nations we come from, and our audience is the millions of people that are of every race that support us. So when someone says, you know what, I have something of value to bring to these people, one of the first things, and I told Curtis and Kawan, we asked these people is, what's your mission? Because what we found is some people don't have a mission, and some people don't have a goal, or their goal conflicts with something we believe inherently in. And that doesn't mean we're going to agree on everything. But when I asked him what his mission was, what the goal was, that's when I knew this was somebody that I'm going to, God willing, be spending a lot of time talking to. And I'm going to let him answer how he answered that question, because it was a very short answer. And once, it's a very short answer, very simple answer, and very powerful answer. So I'm going to let him reveal that to you shortly. But why is he here? He's here because everything we discussed in previous episodes requires the vision of many. It requires people who saw things that would benefit us way before our generation could pick it up. And I give all the honor due to the people who came before us. They've done what they're supposed to do. We are the lost generations prior to now. We won't continue to be lost. But anytime there is a gap in the mantle being passed, that means that was an attempt to destroy that generation, because they knew. There's a story when they knew that a deliverer was coming to the people of Israel. They knew. The sages went to the kings and said that there's a deliverer that is going to come deliver the Hebrew people out of our bondage. Well, they said, all right, well, kill all the kids. Kill all the firstborn males. Like, there's an agenda. Now, what we see, if we look back over the last 100 years, is we see leadership from the people before us. But then we get to the 70s, 80s, and we see the gap. And we know what happened there. We saw the crack epidemic. The drugs came into our society. There was a systemic prison system set up to put our men in prison. There's a gap. But here's the thing. We're not going. We're now just waking up. And we're a little late to the show, but we're right on time. Because now what we get to do is we get to now take what our generations before us set up for us, take the missions and visions that they set up for us, and now we have 2 generations that are going to work together to make that to come to pass. We're going to have the millennials come to pass, which I'm one of, and we're going to have the people under us, Generation Z, come to pass. All of these, that Joshua generation, those 20-year-olds, oh yeah, y'all going to take us in. But we're going to work together because, and I'm talking to my people. I'm talking to people from my age group. Y'all know it's time. We were lost, but now we have elders who now it's time to get from them. Here's y'all. This is what we saw for y'all. This is what we wanted to set up. Now, All right, so we're gonna take a short break, and then next time as soon as we come back, we'll bring on Rabbi. I'll let get ready. Get your notepads ready. Get your ears ready. Go pop some popcorn. It's about to get real good. Hello, Black America.
Who you know can take these syllables and tie them in a boat. Ancestors made it off the boat. Swear I need my reparations. He been dreaming way too long. The struggle I done made it from. Just because my skin golden tone, you know they think I'm dumb. Grit the wheel and crew the street. Diamonds in my pack for lead. The mentals of a country boy. Hustle like an athlete. Missing sleep. Still hear the screams of the slaves. Let breath from his lips. Blood covering of his face. Yeah. Boxing full of money. Ain't no bank accounts. Don't need a loan. Whole school ride clean.
If you're enjoying what you're watching and you want to join this movement, the easiest way to do it is to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell so you never miss a video. Let's get back to it.
It's been basically going from New York to LA and also to Durban, dealing with the issues of reparations. Essentially, we first introduced our reparations proposal, which is here, in the year 2000 at the City Council in Chicago. One of the things that we did in order to put forth our Pacific reparations proposal was centered around the issues of reparations and repatriations. And so what we're going to do today, we're going to take this time and just try to essentially break down what we're doing and essentially how we're trying to do this and why we're doing it. The reparations issue right now today has been the issue, I guess you could say, it's been sort of low-key based upon what's happened in September 11th. But essentially we feel that because of September 11th, it's due to us, or we are going to step up the reparations struggle. Most African people, American people did come from the South. We tamed the West. You know, the colored troops, you know, and the black cowboys, which very few people know anything about. Buffalo soldiers. You know, very few people don't know anything about us. But the fact is that we did tame the West. So what we're asking is for our people to stand up and take on the challenge of going home and taming the East. You know, we can bring peace to that region. We can rebuild Africa. We can stand up as men. And because essentially every issue that pops up, for instance, Jesse Jackson, the Afghans, they sent him a letter inviting him over there, you know, to talk to them when the United States government said that they wouldn't talk to him at all.
Once again. Take just a photo of it.
I reiterate our commitment to the peace of the brave, away from violence, state terror, suicide bombers, bloodshed, and confusion, which don't serve the interests of Israelis and Palestinians and the people of the region and the whole region of the Middle East.
We must pursue peace and shared existence. War is not an option. Through nonviolence, we can have shared existence. We can move from pain and fear and despair to hope. And
You know,
hope must
so
survive.
people look at us as a nation within a nation. So rather than continue in the fact that our struggle, the power struggle between the former slaves, because black people in America has grown up. We're not the boys that we used to be, the yesser, the master. We can get along, we can meet, we can talk to any Caucasians, any people upon the face of the earth as men. But unfortunately, when it comes to the political issues, when it comes to the vote, just recently, just this the issue of the vote, just in Bush coming in office, what black people feared, or what black leaders have said for years in the church, that your vote don't count. Why vote? And what the black politicians have said, yes, your vote do count. Stand up and do vote. Just recently, that question has been answered. You see what I'm saying? In this recent election, that your vote, maybe it count and maybe it don't. You know what I'm saying?
It's a euphorism.
It's
called a euphorism when something is and it isn't.
You see, so now that question is more now it isn't than it is. You know, so at this point is in my opinion, it's time for us to step up as men and look at the wisdom of Thomas Jefferson, but not just your proposal just doesn't go off of the Thomas Jefferson. It also mentions
it mentions
Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, Lincoln. You know.
So what did he have to say on the issue?
Okay, it said President Lincoln, during his second term, realized the mistakes of the past that he states in his second inaugural address. Quote, "It may seem strange that any man should dare to ask a just God's assistance in wringing their bread from the sweat of another man's face. But let us judge not, that we be not judged. The prayers of both could not be answered. That of neither has been answered fully. The Almighty has his own purposes. Woe unto the world because of his offense, for it must needs be that offenses must come. But woe to that man by whom the offense come. If we should suppose that American slavery is one of those offenses which, in the providence of God, must needs come, but which, having continued through his appointed time, he now wills to remove, and that he gives to both North and South this terrible war as the woe due to those whom by the offense come. Shall we discern therein any departure from those divine attributes which the believers in a living God always ascribe to him? Fondly do we hope, fervently do we pray, that this mighty scourge of war may speedily pass away. Yet, if God's will, that it continue until all the wealth piled by the bondsman, 250 years of unrequited toil, shall be sunk, and until every drop of blood be drawn with the lash shall be paid by another's drawn with the sword. As was said 3,000 years ago, so still it must be said, the judgment of the Lords are true and righteous altogether. End of quote.
Okay, welcome back to Hello Black America. And now it is my great honor to introduce a man who has dedicated his life to uncovering truth, fighting for justice, and advocating for the restoration of our people. And when you hear how he answers the question I asked him, you're going to understand that his mission involves all people. Howshua Amariel is not only a historian and a researcher, but also a translator, a rabbi, an imam, an elder, and a chief. His depth knowledge spans ancient history to modern-day activism, and he's been a leading voice in the reparations movement for decades. As a human rights and reparations activist, Howshua has brought groundbreaking presentations to the Chicago City Council and the National Reparations Convention. His work has contributed significantly to the ongoing discussion about reparations, both here in the U.S. and globally. His expertise also includes a fascinating connection between DNA and reparations, which adds a whole new layer to our understanding of heritage and justice. It is a privilege to have him with us today to share his wisdom and insight. Please join me in welcoming Howshua Amariel to Hello Black America. How you feel, sir?
I just want to say, hello, Black America. Hello, Black America from Israel.
Yes.
See, so this is the you can see we got the American flag here on this side of us, and we have the Israeli flag here in Israel. So we're here in Israel, and we're representing our community here in Israel. And I wanted to say thank you, brother, for that wonderful introduction. You sort of hit me the heart
because I didn't think you was going to mention when I was in high school, and I won the undefeated chess champion. That was Austin High School, and I took the undefeated chess championship, and I got a trophy, but I was never shared. That trophy of me was never shared in the yearbook. And right now I'm in a group with my former classmates, and they apologized to me for not sharing it, because if I would have been a football player, a basketball player, a baseball player, it would have been in the yearbook. But back then, the chess team was a bunch of eggheads, and they didn't consider them to be, they didn't consider them. But when I ended up winning the undefeated chess championship, that photograph should have been in the yearbook. But as I was telling the brother this story, your producer this story, I told him that prepared me for the rest of my life, because I have a book here that I have printed here in Israel. And if you purchase this book, I'm the first person in history to translate the ancient Hebrew Torah. But if you purchase this book, you won't see my name nowhere in it. This is my book. You can Google the book. If you buy the book online, the Hebrew Phoenician history called the Bible, and it tells you, Howshua Amariel, it gives you information, but you won't see my name nowhere in the book. You won't see no pages referring to me the author in the book. And I'm the first person in history to do this, but I'm not getting no credit. You find the credit as that first person. So again, that's just my comment.
And is there before I ask and get into the question, get into some questions, what do you think the reason is? And you've authored this book. What do you think the reason is that this book is now, circulating, has been circulating for years, but your name is not on it?
Well, for one thing, when I first introduced the book to the state of Israel here, it's supposed to represent the state of Israel. They came to our community, and I was the leader in our community, and I gave them my book to represent our community in the state of Israel. When they went to China, in India, specifically China, the Chinese government loved the book. I have a video where the Chinese government, the people representing the publisher, telling me about how the Chinese government, they want to put my book in every library and every university, because the translation of my book wasn't promoting the Bible as a religious book. Now, of course, the Chinese got a problem with religion. You follow? So, but I produced my book, and I put forth my book as a historical document. Just as everything we do, everything we do, we promote not as a religion, and we promote as a history. Even now, down to the day where you brought up the DNA results. You can't get a DNA result to recognize a Christian or a Muslim or Jewish. There's no Muslim, Christian, Jewish DNA. When the Bible wrote to the children of Israel, that's referring to a people with a lineage. It wasn't talking about Judaism or religion. You see what I'm saying? So that's where DNA comes in, and we're gonna discuss that. But I would like to first introduce myself also, because you introduced me.
Well, yeah.
And when you did that to me, that took me back to my high school, and that was always a wound in my heart as a child. But that wound taught me not to focus on people and my achievements, and people understanding that to do the work and don't worry about people giving you that praise, because eventually all your praise will be given to you from the Father in heaven.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's what my master Jesus, he taught all of us. And when the rich man came to him, and he said, the rich man said, I kept all the commandments. He said, well, sell everything. If you would be perfect, sell everything you have and follow me. You follow me. And then he also gave a parable of how another rich man had these devices, but he said, It's better for you to store up treasures in heaven. You see, so that's so my life that taught me that that event, that episode of my life taught me to store up my treasures in heaven and try to give God praise other than the praise of men.
Absolutely.
You see, so that's how. So, but I'm happy that you brought that up. And here in Israel, when my publisher when I addressed that to my publisher, and I took it to my publisher about what happened and why ain't my name in the book. Then I took it to a lawyer, and the lawyer told me here in Israel, he said, well, he didn't break any laws. I said, well, my name in the book, my people in the book. And he said, well, you got to prove that your book is being actually sold in China or in the university. If he but if he got your book online promoting your name, you see what I'm saying? Although he don't have your name in the book or anywhere, as long as he promote your name, he's fulfilling your contract.
Interesting.
So that goes off into that goes.
Yeah.
And I say, well, if my name ain't in the book, then that to me is breach of contract, and it's a right for suit. But again, that talks about here in Israel. But that's a whole nother case there, because
100%.
there's a whole nother list of rules. There's a whole nother list of rules. So we're gonna bring that up. There's a whole nother list of rules for our people living among other people.
Absolutely.
But we're gonna bring that. But hold on to that point, because we're gonna bring that point up. We're gonna finish this story when we go into the area of repatriation.
Absolutely.
But how I want to introduce myself is based upon when I first became familiar, when I first became aware, or when I first became known in the public. And that was at the event.
And also I'm going to show Kawan's going to show this picture of you, and you're holding up something, and as the audience sees it, is that what you're about to go into? See, this you're holding up something, and it says it's time to go home with our reparations. I don't know, is this, it was that at the, because I'm very curious about this this Chicago City Council, and because a lot of people don't know. I mean, you're in Israel right now, but you are actually from Chicago. Your mission and your work started in Chicago. So can you just take us from the beginning?
Well, as I said, most people, again, when you Google me, if you Google my name, Howshua Amariel, and you'll come up with certain, you'll see that one of the first places, or one of the first events that I was known for was this event. Was the event that everybody that's called. Okay. I just hit the article here. Okay. Okay. Right here. It's called the Million Man March.
I think everybody's heard of the Million Man March for sure.
I was the first person. This is how I made. This is the first time that the Most High introduced me to the public as one of the organizers of the Million Man March. You see, wow. and as we know, that there was counted more than 1 million men that was there. You see, and I think your producer Curtis mentioned to me that he was one of those million men that was there.
Yeah.
You see that he was one of the people in that crowd.
And look, Kawan saying he was there too, Chief. Kawan saying he was there too.
He suggested a picture of Pharaoh sitting in an open chariot with a crown on his head and a sword in his hand, passing through the divided waters of the Red Sea in pursuit of the Israelites. Hovering over the sea was to be shown a pillar of fire in a cloud, expressive of the divine presence and command. Rays from this pillar of fire were to be shown beaming down on Moses, standing on the shore, extending his hand over the sea, causing it to overwhelm Pharaoh. The motto for the reverse was, billion to tyrants.
Okay, my brothers and sisters, I hope you enjoyed that Pacific part of the Million Man March tape there. We had it for a pretty long time, as you could tell by the tape there. We got to redo that a little bit more if we can give you a better reception. But what we want to do right now, we want to tie this thing up. We want to introduce that because this was the first time in history that any people had actually came together and asked God as a people to forgive them for their sins. And this Million Man March, it was so profound that by the grace of the Most High God that it touched bases not just here in the United States, but also the brothers in England, also the brothers in throughout Africa. Matter of fact, the Ghanese actually apologized for what they did to our people, and open borders, saying that anyone that wanted to return could return and plant themselves in the land. So the fact is, now throughout Europe, brothers responded to the Million Man March. I was in Egypt myself a couple of years ago, and they had had the spirit of the Million Man March. Got that T-shirt on. It's on Million Man March. Oh, okay. I said hallelujah. So the fact is that we as a people did something that no one else in the history ever did before. We prayed to God as a people and was heard. And the fact is that this is the book, the Million Man March here. And by the grace of the Most High God, yours truly and the people from the Israelite Organization of Unity is in this book. And we're caught actually praying to God, because you didn't see it in this tape, because this tape we had too much we was limited in time here, so we had to cut that real quick. But let's get you to this right here. This is the Israelite Organization of Unity here, and you can see yours truly here is actually praying to God, asking God to forgive us for our sins. You see the brothers prostrated here, and we're actually praying to God, asking him to forgive us for our sins in accordance with scripture. So the fact is that the scriptures here that we're referring to that talks about the Million Man March, as we indicated to you to read, was Leviticus, the 26th chapter. Another one was Numbers 5, verse 5 through 10. And that Numbers essentially goes off into letting you know that the Million Man March had to be done for 5 years before God would respond to his people. And then Nehemiah 8, chapter 8, 13 through 18, let you know that the day that the Million Man March on was the same exact day that our people asked God to forgive them on years ago, and God responded to that. Also, Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14, it indicated that God would hear us if we cried out and humbled ourselves.
So I was one of the promoters. I wasn't just one of the people that
one
was
of the
there.
attendees. Mm-hmm.
I was one of the promoters, and these are the flyers that we've been handing out, explaining the biblical scriptures that we had on there. So I don't know if you want to read any of these scriptures that talks about the prophetic significance of the Million Man March. But the point is that but this here is when I made in this book here. This is called the Million Man March, and I made and our organization. And most people don't know this.
We're gonna put all of this stuff up on the screen, so as the viewers watch this, you'll be able to see it. Go ahead.
Yeah, our organization here was one of the people that actually got the resolution for the Million Man March. Wow. The City Council resolution. This is the official document here for the Million Man March, meaning that in order to do any public event, you have to have some type of legal documentation. So this was our legal documentation for the Million Man March, with the city council, with the seals, with the seals of the people authorizing us to walk in Washington D.C. Many people are not aware of that, of that process. But this is me here in this book on page 47, and that's me there with my hands up with the wreaths on my head, and that was during the Feast of Tabernacle. And that's the Tabernacle Congregation of Prayer and the Israelite Organization Unity there, and that picture right next to me, praying
Wow.
So we were actually in the Million Man March. And this picture and all these pictures are in the Black History Museum for the Million Man March and the participators within that march. You see, so that
Amazing.
that was when I officially that's when I officially publicly became when people actually publicly became aware of me as a person or as one of the people that participated in the Million Man March. But then it went deeper than that. I was actually invited here on the Oprah Winfrey Show. This is Oprah and this is me here circled here. And what happened was that Oprah did a special called "Get on the Bus," and she with Spike Lee and various different people. They came and I was invited on that show for two specific reasons, and that's as a director and because I had the show called Reparations to Repatriate. You find me, Reparations. So we had the show at that time. And what happened was I was invited as a director and as a critic to speak on the behalf of the of reparations.
Okay, so hang on one quick second, Chief, because we got 15 seconds to break the segment. And what we'll do is we'll come back, and when we come back, I want you to we'll go deep into this Chicago presentation and what happened at the Chicago City Council almost well over 20 years ago that actually connects us to where we're at right now. So we'll be right back in 2 seconds. Hello, Black America.
Good side is life until their vision is correct. We don't know the possibilities of what Africans can do until our disabilities have been corrected. Well, some people like to make a comment. You don't know the possibilities of black folks.
So you planning to be there, even million if I experiment what type of help. But that's what we have to say. This is the second.
Well, I'm a black psychologist. I am a black psychologist concerned about the psychological well-being of black folk. I know as a human being that white folks have been detrimentally damaged. Now, this issue is that because they damage, when they do this with God to us, I have a responsibility to try to heal them because they're hurting us.
If you're enjoying what you're watching and you want to join this movement, the easiest way to do it is to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell so you never miss a video. Let's get back to it. Okay, we're back. And what you are seeing, if you're watching, is an image of Rabbi Howshua Amariel holding up a sign. And it says on here, the sign he's holding up, it says it's time to go home with our reparations. And it has the text at the top, the noble Howshua Amariel's head rabbi of the Israelite organization in Israel speaks out again on reparations and repatriation. Chief, can you tell us about where this image was taken, the context, and kind of what was going through your mind that day? The floor is yours.
Reparations to Repatriate. They made two major newspapers in Chicago, and it went as far as Europe, as far as that Pacific reparations event. And this is the proposal that we had at that reparations conference that went into the city council meeting. And we have an actual video online that we actually show us introducing this proposal within that city council meeting. And we break down here the different groups within the proposal that within the history of our freedom fighting or desire to receive some type of freedom. And we have what you call the we have the integrationists, we have what they call the nationalists, and we have what you call the radicals. You find it? So these are the three groups of our people that have been struggling for our people. and I represent what is called the nationalistic effect. I represent not just reparations, but reparations to repatriate.
Let me ask you this. You're saying your plan is to develop a situation where you're saying 1 million black men, if they want to leave this country, would get $1 million.
Exactly.
Do you have a place in mind, or is this anywhere they want to go in the world, or what is that?
Well, again, based upon what Thomas Jefferson proposed or indicated, he said that when we leave, we would be able to leave armed. So it's only very few people or few countries that will receive a nation of black men armed on the west coast of Africa, and that would be either Sierra Leone or Liberia. Liberia itself was a country that was a gateway to Africa that was established exactly for our people. And at this point, the brothers that did leave here 100 years ago are under attack, and they're now being slaughtered because they did what we have not yet did, and that's try to go back home and reestablish a foothold in that land. And since they've been there, we have forgotten them. And we have left them there without any support, without any aid, without any backing. So at this point, since the reparation issues have come up, and now since we have gotten to the point where we want to take up the United States government on their proposed issue, that if we were man enough, that we really wanted some type of form of reparations, that they would send us back home, and that they would rebuild our homeland, and they would arm us, and that they would give us subsidies until we became a strong nation, then I'm going to take them up on that. See, the fact is that when I got to be a man, my father said to me, or I said to my father, I said, I don't think you're running the house quite well here, Dad. And my father said to me, well, it's time for you to leave. If you think you done got to the point where you think I'm not paying the bills right and I'm not doing right, it's time for you to leave. So right now, at this point in the stage of the game, we're not boys anymore. We're dealing with world issues in the United States, and we're stepping on their toes everywhere we go. Even lately, they indicated that if they had a reparations conference in South Africa, that they were going to pull back their subsidies from South Africa. Well, we're going to attend that conference. And again, we're stepping on their toes. We are a nation within a nation. So at this point, it's time for us to be grown men and take on the struggle.
You see, so that's where again this proposal comes in at, and this was in the city council meeting. But this here is what we show. This is the proposal that we took to the United Nations. And when we talk about the UN, and I shared something with you that you said you had to read. So I need you to read that that article about the UN, right? I need to read that letter that one of the people sent me at the UN after we left the UN. I need you to read that letter for me, please.
Okay. Now, is that the letter from Maureen, or is that the letter that's
right?
Okay, perfect. All right. So this letter says it's dated September 5th, 2001. It says,
okay. So I want you to notice the date. I want you to notice on that. It says September
5th, 2001.
So do you remember September 11th? 2001.
Wow.
So that was a couple of days before September 11th.
That is a fact.
You see, so we're gonna bring that out. But continue reading.
That's important to know that context. Okay, it says, hi, Howshua. So what's new in your zoo? Just a short note to say what an honor and pleasure it was to have met you. For once, I was not judged for loving people and for wanting others to do the same. You were also very helpful in explaining the reparations and separation issue to me. I must add that you have a presence and spirit about you that I found most intriguing. Thank you for brightening up a very disappointing situation. Regards. This is Maureen Emsley, member of ARM, which is the anti-racism movement of South Africa.
Right. So that was one of this is the actual letter that was sent to me, and I treasure that because we was at the race conference in South Africa. That was being the United States government threatened, and they said anybody that was going to be attending that race conference, that they was going to consider them to be an enemy of the state. And this is actually a newspaper. This is the actual newspaper article that went off into the promotion of that conference. And you can see Harold Washington, Jesse Jackson, all these people. And this is the first time. This is when I actually met Yasser Arafat for the first time. And I actually introduced my two-state peace proposal at that time for the first time to Yasser Arafat. And that's what we're still working on here in Israel right now. But the point was that at that conference, at the end of that conference, it was a breakthrough where it said 11-hour breakthrough in Durban. You see what I'm saying? And at that breakthrough, this is a newspaper article that came out. Slavery was a crime, was considered to be a crime against humanity.
Mm-hmm.
You follow me? So that was that was.
Sorry to cut you off. This is just so much, and I want to make sure is that from who has labeled slavery a crime against humanity?
This was actually from the UN. The UN,
wow.
At the end of that reparations conference in Durban, South Africa, and the reason in America and Israel actually walked out of that conference. And when America and Israel walked out of the conference, bin Laden said that that's what made him choose to blow up the buildings of September 11th. It's a newspaper article talking about.
That's a big claim. Is there any way that we can see that? Hold on.
Well, okay. You can Google it. You can Google because I saw it by Googling. You follow me? That he actually stated that from America and Israel, lack of respect and walking out of the race conference, he chose September 11th as the date in order to blow up the buildings.
Okay, so let me this is, I just have some questions. This is big, and let's go with what we can easily substantiate. So you're saying there was a race conference. The UN wasn't, this is UN held, the United Nations. This is people from all around the globe, all countries coming together. And you're saying that America and Israel walked out of that conference?
You can actually Google this. This is in the news at the time. And this is probably, and see, a lot of this information got overshadowed by bin Laden blowing up those buildings. But what happened is that I actually got interviewed by Israel and international news at that conference. But that program supposed to air September 11th. And because of what bin Laden did, that program never aired.
Yeah, the whole world stopped September 11th.
So a lot of information and what happened over that conference, at that conference, was overshadowed by September 11th. You see, so that's the first time that we're bringing this information out. You see, but the point is that and we made the statement before, but that's the first time we bring it. And as you just said, that's big.
That is.
That's big in a lot of different ways. And see, so because America and Israel, and this is the reason why we have these two flags here. We got an American flag and Israel flag, because that's the reason why we're in here in Israel, and we're promoting and dealing with what we call the reparations agenda.
So check this out. You just said that Curtis, our producer, pulled up a New York Times article dated September 4th, and we're going to put it on the screen for you guys to see. It says, it's entitled, the headline says, "The Racism Walkout, the Overview. U.S. and Israelis quit racism talks over denunciation."
The attempt to delegitimize the state of Israel and focus on their retaliation is so outrageous.
So are you saying to us now, are you saying to my viewers here in South Africa and across the African continent, that the state of Israel is completely innocent in this whole process?
Far from it. Let me tell you what I say. We all come to this conference with having to say mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. There isn't a country on the face of this planet which is not guilty of discrimination and persecution of one type or another. I thought that we would come here accepting our collective guilt and then moving ahead so we can rectify the consequences of that collective guilt. But to single out one country, in point of fact, by far from being the most serious offender, there is no talk about the Sudan and slavery in the Sudan. There is no talk about the outrageous behavior of the Taliban in Afghanistan. There is no talk about discrimination against women by Saudi Arabia. There is no talk about Chinese suppression of Tibet. The sole focus is the state of Israel, and that's why this conference will stand self-condemned.
Now, talking about the representation and the delegation of the U.S. government here at this conference, would the voice of the United States not have been better represented by a senior government personality, by a senior government representative?
Well, I am a senior government representative.
Not as a secretary.
John Conyers is a senior government representative. Ambassador Southwick is a senior government representative. I think there's a pathological fixation on Colin Powell. Colin Powell represents the best in America. Colin Powell is a black American who is our Secretary of State. He desperately wanted to come here, and to blame him for his not being here is absurd. He is not here because the extremists are hijacking the conference, and we are not going to dignify this conference by sending our Secretary of State here to listen to this abuse that people like Fidel Castro and other dictators are showering upon us. That is the problem.
You're using very strong language, Congressman. You're talking about abuse, you're talking about hijacking.
I am.
Is your delegation considering withdrawing from this conference?
It's a distinct possibility. It's a distinct possibility. We have been busting our gut at all the preparatory conferences and here to accept collective guilt of the past. Not American guilt, not Israeli guilt, collective guilt. The guilt of all of us, the colonial powers of Europe, the Arab slave traders. There is no discussion here of Arab slave tradery. Why? We know why, because the extremists are hijacking this conference.
How do you respond to the criticism that the United States is actually not trying to get people to accept collective responsibility, but was actually looking to dictate for the norms of the United States and what the United States wants to see on the declaration at the end of this conference?
It's pure fiction. It's Goebbels' big lie. There is zero substance to it. And there is no...
So you're saying the United States was the only objective party at these deliberations?
Not at all. Not at all. You may have noticed that European countries have not sent high-level representatives. You may have noticed that Canada has not sent a high-level representative. You are not going to paint me into the picture of saying the United States is perfect. Far from it. But we have been in the forefront of fighting for human rights across the globe.
But somehow
we will continue to
somehow you've taken the back seat when it
No,
comes
we
to
have not taken
reparations
the back
for
seat.
slavery. You moved away from the forefront.
We have had more programs designed to redress the economic inequities on the face of this planet.
Wow. Okay. So, all right. So, let me ask you this. As two questions I want to ask, and then we'll continue. When I first called you and I asked you the question, what was the mission? What was your answer to me? When I asked you, what was your mission?
To save the world.
There we go. So as people, we always like to let people know, as we have these talks, as we talk about things that are very sensitive topics that unfortunately, depending on your position, easily offended, you got to understand something. Everything we do is in love. Everything we do is with a spirit of love and unity, and you understand what our mission is. Why do you think when you submitted the proposal back then, the proposal you just showed that said reparations and repatriation, and I want to talk more about repatriation as well, because we don't really hear that a lot. We hear reparations talk, but until I met you and discovered your proposal, I've not really heard the term repatriation connected to reparation. But let me ask you, why do you think that, it's since 2001, you've had formal proposals submitted, and there's been no action taken or little action taken? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, again, as I said, Bin Laden blew up the buildings, and that stopped the whole. That tried to cover up what happened in the UN. So a lot of people don't really know what happened at the UN that day, and that the whole world was watching. But they overshadowed the thing by America and Israel walking out, and they made that blast the news. And then afterwards, Bin Laden took the show. So the whole reparations agenda and what happened with that was overshadowed. People never heard that declaration from the UN. You see, so now that's why, again, when a lot of people said years later that was all coordinated, you see, and then see, so all it takes is time to understand what the true agenda was, because we know that not just America owed us reparations, but also the Arabic world owed us reparations, because a lot of the Arabic world and a lot of African countries were the ones that actually sold us into slavery. You see, so this thing here goes really, really deep, and a lot of people would have to pay. And just as I said to you, I wanted to show you the newspaper article, and one of the articles said that Europe is against reparations payments. You follow me? And they said because of what happened at the city council meeting in Chicago. You see, so all of these things as a part, all these things are the overshadow things that are trying to keep our people undermined and powerless. Because until we can leave America as empowered, then as long as we continue to go in Africa, going back into Africa, and this is where again I had pictures of another a whole profile of pictures to share with you of my family in Africa, and one of my relatives actually passed away in Ethiopia. John Robinson, James Robinson was one of the people that pioneered going to Liberia, and all of these people returned to Africa, but the tribalism in Africa didn't allow them to be able to be accepted by a variety of different Africa. Just like today in Africa, a lot of people in Africa, they're fighting even among each other. See, right now you got the Russians and the people from Ukraine fighting each other. We look at both of them, we say what they fighting over. It seems like two white people fighting over. They say look the same to us. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Exactly. But actually DNA tells you that they're not the same.
Now
see,
wait a
one
minute.
is our
Wait a minute. Hold on, because we got to break for the last. We got to break. But you just said something extremely important. Two people look alike. We're used to seeing two black people who look alike war with each other and then say, well, y'all all black. They should, why y'all warring. But now, as you said, we're seeing two white cultures, two people war with each other that seemingly are the same people. But what you're about to express in this next segment is they're not the same necessarily. And DNA may prove that these people that have looked alike, black, white, even though these people around the world who've looked alike and seem to be warring with each other are actually from two separate lineages. So we'll be back. We'll go deep on that in 1 second. Hello, Black America. Since 2020, I've been showing people everything car dealers like the one I'm standing in front of don't want you to know about car buying. Things like you don't need a down payment to get a great deal, you don't need to be a great negotiator, and you definitely don't need to spend more than 30 minutes in a car dealership. I spent 14 years in the car business, 5 with Mercedes-Benz, 5 with General Motors, and I just released my new digital book, Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships. It's already 5-star rated, and I want the entire Hello Black America audience to have a copy at 75% off. So go to carsfromhomebook.com, use promo code HBA as in Hello Black America, and don't forget to send me your success story. If you're enjoying what you're watching, the easiest thing you could do to support us is hit that like button. Let's get back to it. All right, we are having a very, very interesting talk with Howshua Amariel. And just scratching the surface, trying to go deep as possible, as early as possible. But we already know we're gonna need to do a part 2 of this. May need a part 3, but definitely a part 2. All right, so I'm showing. Kawan has up on the screen some of Howshua's research that says the final proof from the graves of the people of the Holy Land. And it says DNA, Canaan, Philistine, and Israel. Now, Howshua is going to talk about this shortly, but he wants me to read this letter, which is entitled Reparations and Repatriation. Now, this says a study at Berkeley, which states that for 40 years, the lost income from Black Americans came to $2 trillion. Based on 400 years of free labor, we estimate that the cost should come to 20 trillion or more. And it stated that there are approximately 30 million blacks in America today. We feel that the estimation of 20 trillion would be more than enough to compensate every black in America. The money should be distributed in two fashions. For those who wish to remain in America, they should receive reparations in the form of free education, medical, legal, financial aid for the period of 50 years or more, and no taxes should be levied against the funds. It should be levied against the funds, property, real or tangible, for the period of 25 years or more. For those desiring to leave America, every person would receive $1 million or more backed by gold in reparations, and Thomas Jefferson's proposed bill for repatriation that suggested total compensation for blacks desiring to leave America should be signed into law. We propose a 7-year plan that embodies Thomas Jefferson's proposed bill for those who are free and those who are incarcerated, deeply suffering from post-traumatic slave syndrome. Interesting.
See, so thank you for reading that, brother, because see that's up the proposal that we had here for reparations and repatriation. But again, the question has always been to most blacks where to go. You see, so the point is that so this is why we introduced the DNA as a means, because the one thing that has happened within our community is most of our community, because we brought over on the slave ships, we never really knew where we came from. You see, we was all cramped into the slave. You see, and so most of the blacks didn't really, the different languages or whatever, mixed up. So because of that, when you go back to Africa, there's an issue where we don't really know who you are. So now with DNA, and you returning back to Africa, then you can return back according to wherever your DNA marker is at. You see, so right now my DNA marker was right here. It was called that area, it was R1B1. That was right here in this area here. And those people that was taken from there, into these various different areas of America and South America. So we're we're asking all of our brothers to take DNA tests in order that it can give you a clear understanding of where you to return. Now, a lot of our people, they've been because of that lack of understanding of who they are, I say they've been joined these religions or cults. The Hebrew Israelite movement, telling them that they're Hebrew Israelites. The black Moors, or telling them that they're Moabites. The Egyptians, telling them they're Egyptians. So all these different people that came out telling you who you are. So now with DNA, that puts an end to all of this religious talk.
Absolutely.
Now people can return according to their DNA by wherever they would be.
And wouldn't that solve the problem of I want you to say the scripture, and then wouldn't that also solve the problem in the issue of the tribalism?
Well, exactly. You see, because at this point, there's already been a lot of people returning to Africa to the tribe with their DNA test. And they have been received by the tribes because they've had verification of who they are based upon DNA. So we're telling everybody now to take DNA tests, you see, but not just to return into your tribe, but for all of us to return, according to Thomas Jefferson's bill, not to Liberia, and because my people We wasn't in Africa, R1B. We was in Africa, but that wasn't our homeland. But the only place that's opened up to us to return is Liberia. Liberia is the only country that's technically actually ours.
Absolutely.
Although I'm in Israel and you're in America, these countries are not ours. You see, and that's as I was saying about my book. Any country that you are in that's not yours, these people make and break rules for you. You see, they make and break rules.
It's a different set of rules.
Right. They set their own rules. They promote their own agenda. I will never forget here in Israel, and I should call my son in for this. My son was in a race in the city of Arad, a bike race. He won the bike race. He came in number first, but they gave the award to the Jewish little boy that came in after him.
And you know, there was nobody who was going to speak up for that at all.
But then they said, no, we saw. I had a picture of him coming in first. I took a picture of him as he crossed the finish line, and I showed the people, this is him crossing the finish line. They looked at me, and they still gave the other boy the award. And I'm using that as a point of saying that only in our community, only among our people, only in our country can we finally empower one another. See, I have a shirt on. You see what I have here on? Yes, we can. Because I was one of the supporters of Barack Obama. And I also want to make a public statement, an announcement that we're going to be endorsing our sister Kamala Harris for presidency, and because of two reasons. The first reason is because she's black. I just want to be. The Bible said first that which is natural, and then that which is spiritual. You follow me? So the natural thing is that she's the same color we are. Now, a lot of people say she's not African American. Well, nor am I African American. I'm Native American, and that's why I'm not. That's why you don't see me. A lot of African American, Black Americans don't promote me because I'm not on record as a Black American. I'm recorded as a Native American, and then most Native Americans I'm promoting Black Americans. So you see, so I sort of fall right there in the crack, you know. So, and that's the same thing that my sister Kamala is falling in. She's black because she's upset Sambo, just like my mother came from the Black Sambos, and her DNA takes us back to India. Campbell is just like that, but she's still black. So we're gonna promote our Black sister, but also the fact also that that we heard and Biden that we heard from our people in Chicago that she's gonna be promoting the reparations agenda as Biden was.
Interesting.
And of course, Trump, he never was on board with the reparations agenda. So we're going according to our agenda.
Our agenda. And see, so I think that's big because oftentimes we get caught up in aligning with someone and forgetting our agenda. So if you align with someone based on mutual agendas, does what we want match what you want? Great, let's work together. But if our agenda doesn't match yours or vice versa, then we don't need to be attached to you. And that's the reason why we are so big on being independent media. I'm so big on making sure everyone knows that we are about our agenda. And whoever is in office, politically, executive branch, judicial branch, legislative branch, it does not, the UN, all of these people that we're going to discuss, global powers, Eastern powers, if what you want to achieve matches our agenda, we're open to discussion. And that's just my way of looking at it. I'm not canceling out anyone because until now, not many people, not many countries, not many governments have put their action forward. So why wouldn't we be open to, only talking to the people who about our agenda? So I don't shy away from that. Now, so when you consider, first of all, I want to ask you now, are you okay coming back for another show? And you know, I know you're busy. I know you have 2 people around the world pulling at you, but we would love to have you back for another show because there's so much we want to go deep on. Because another thing that a lot of people don't know about you that you're very well known for is actually letting people know that for years, decades even, you went on a mission to find the biblical Mount Zion, and you actually discovered it, and you have, and it's not where they say Mount Zion is. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. And as you said, that's another show.
Yes.
I want you to put that DNA chart that I just showed you back up.
Yes.
If you could do that very quickly.
Absolutely.
Okay, now you can see this DNA. This is the final results. This is the final results of 30 years of research that the Tabernacle Congregation of Prayer have. And our official rabbi here shared this as of today. We just using your show. We're just promoting this for the first time using your show. And you can see where we have right now, according to the Bible, we have Canaanite DNA. That was the first that was in the land, which is E1B1B. And then we have what is called the Palestinian or Philistine DNA, which is J. And then we have the actual DNA of Israel, which is R. And all of this DNA here that we have is actually in line with Scripture, because we know that the children of Abraham came into the land. He said that the Canaanites were in the land, and he made and then it also talked about how he had came and made an agreement with the Palestinians at the well of Beersheba, and that DNA now has been confirmed that Abraham was R, the Palestinians were J, and that the actual Canaanites were E1B. And this is a DNA, and let me stress this now. These DNA results are from bones that was found in the graves. If you download this and look at it, it would actually give you the city where these bones were found in excavation in the grave. So this is absolute proof of, in line with Scripture, of who was the actual occupant of the land. And I'm going to be using this is another one of the things that I'm going to be using in a debate that I'm going to be having with the brother Dalton. I'm going to be using this as another proof of him and his fallacy. And I'm saying that this is another one of these Israelite leaders that took a DNA test, and because he took a DNA test E1B1A, he's claiming now that where the E1B1A in South Africa, wherever he's at, is actual Mount Zion. So we're going to be debating him again with his DNA.
So this is so everyone knows, because we literally we're now 60 seconds over. So and we knew, but you just mentioned something. You brought up something. You're having a debate with Ron Dalton Jr., who some of you may know. He is a figure who Kyrie Irving shared a movie he made a few years back called Hebrews to Negroes, where in the movie he is showing people that, you know, African Americans descend from the biblical Israelites, and it was prophetically written in those scriptures that these people that we would, you know, be in captivity. But he has connected it to a DNA marker, E1B1A, that actually you disagree with, and that's what this entire debate is about, which is where is the true land of where's the true promised land? Where are the who are the Israelites? And so again,
I challenge him on your show. I challenge him again to come on your show with me, the pre-debate, where people can understand very clearly. And all I'm gonna use is the Bible. From the river of Egypt to the river Euphrates is where the children of Israel is. And all I'm going to use is DNA to prove that R1BA never came into the land of Israel, nor did it leave Africa. And so those are the simple things that I'm going to do. So I challenge him, and for you to come on your show. Of course, he's not going to come, but I challenge him to come on your show.
We're going to show this to him.
Pre-debate. Because he won a 2-day debate. Let's do a quick. Let people know so he can give the date of the actual debate. I challenge him. So that's how I want to conclude the show.
Well, listen, we're over time. This thing was packed. We have to come back for another show. If you would give us the benefit of getting you back again, so we can go more into detail. We can go deep on some of these issues. We didn't even get a chance to get to the questions that the listeners have. So by the time we bring you back, we'll have more questions. We'll be able to break this down because, as I said in the intro, you've devoted your life to a lot of these things, and we can't give them your life in 45 minutes. But we can give them little segments, doses, and it was an absolute pleasure. I want to say it on behalf of myself, on behalf of Curtis and Kawan, and we just look forward to our next talk. Ladies and gentlemen, Howshua Amariel.